Hello, everyone. My name is Sofia. Now I'm working as a software engineer, but before that, my career was connected with art, and most of the time I worked as an art teacher. And I want to share with you how it helps me now. And feel free to interrupt and ask any questions you want. That's absolutely fine. I would rather not to talk into the void. I will be you ask I will be asking you questions too, as I believe it helps with greater involvement. I hope that's okay. Let's start with the first question. Does anyone here have an art degree?
Not a degree, but I consider myself an artist.
Okay. If some
Sophia, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can I ask a question too? Yeah, because you allowed it previously. Yeah, so I will. Yeah, I will use this opportunity to interrupt you. Were you supposed to present something to us?
Yes, yes,
Do you
yes.
have okay. So just in case you're not sharing your screen at the moment, but yeah.
I know about it.
Oh,
I will
okay,
start
That's a
it.
part of. Okay, that's a part of the plan. I see.
Yes.
I have a question as well. You said you were not only studying art, but you were teaching it, right?
Yes. Uh,
So you
I
was
was
a professor
yes.
at university or at
Uh,
school, or
I worked in the art schools, in different art schools for the adults, for children, in different art schools. Yes.
oh, I didn't know that.
Okay. No, if some of you have studied art academically, whether it's art school or university degree, you may know that most of disciplines are grouped into three main areas. Drawing, where students learn to work with tone and shading. Fine art, where we focus on color theory. And finally, composition, which is what we will focus on today. What is the composition? Uh, I believe it's most complex and crucial discipline in art, not only in art, I believe. It's not just about how skilled you are in shading or how masterfully you apply paint. Composition is about how you think and how you guide the viewer eye through your work. Uh, what what does the composition do? It helps to draw attention to what is important. It can help to pass the emotional state, and it organizes the placement of element with the one piece. The key concept here is the integrity. Everything must work as one. Let's dive in composition. I will share my screen. And we will start with example. I want to say that I will talk about this through the art, and I will use not only web applications as example. I also will show some art, how it works in the art pieces as well.
Just a little joke while Sophie is sharing her screen. I was thinking that the last kind of like art thing was martial arts, because Sophie also does like.
Do you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes. We'll Okay, I will start. I will continue. The first, the rule or concept I want to tell about, it is the rule of balance. Balance in composition is about distributing visual weights in a way that feels harmonious to the viewer. For example, if you place a large object on one side of an image, the viewer will instinctively feel the need to balance it with something on the other side. By adding a smaller element on the opposite side, we achieve equilibrium without losing focus on the primary subject. the composition feel balanced yet dynamic. These concepts translated perfectly into web design. Imagine, for example, here we can. By the way, it's not only about the object itself. We should count not only like object. For example, on this image, we can see there's 2 sneakers, but it's also about the colors. For example, look how the perfectly balance the white color from one side and from another side. If we, for example, remove the white sneakers or this how to say, this text on the white background, it the balance of the picture will be broken. Yes, it's not so perfectly balanced like it was before. For example, look at the another examples. It's the site of the Phenomenon Studio. Look at this. By the way, it's how they look the cursor on this web page. We have the white text that's perfectly balanced. We have the cursor element that looks like bright spots, and it's perfectly balanced with the orange text too. Why? Could you also notice that usually this cursor will be placed on the right side of the screen, because most of the user right-handed people, and it will be good balance with the orange text from the left. It's nice to see. Sorry. How it is a good example of the balancing of the pictures. It is the work of the Maurits Escher. It's named Maurits Escher, Sky and Water 2. This is the compositions that also displays perfect balance between white and black colors. About the compositions also often talked as a rhythm of the white and black spots. Not white and black spots. I believe it was more correct to say that that's light and dark, not white and black. But in this case, white and black. How the balance worked with the abstract composition, it is the work of the Vasily Kandinsky. Let's see the next example and discuss another concept or another topic. Then the next topic, what I want to talking about, it's about the symmetry and asymmetry. Symmetry often creates a sense of stability and order. When elements are perfectly mirrored on either side of composition, the result feels formal and balanced. This is useful in design when you want to convey a sense of trust and professionalism, like on a homepage for a financial institution or a law firm. For example, it is the site of the Bank of France, and we can see that most of the elements are placed from symmetrically, and it works like this. It is the work of the Maurits Escher, another work of the Maurits Escher, the drawing hands. And it is asymmetrical composition. This, however, asymmetry can be just also be useful, and it also can be quite stable. Because we have another topic, it is about dynamicism and static. But both compositions but it's the different things: symmetry and asymmetry, and dynamic and static. Yes, more symmetrical composition is more static, but not all not all asymmetric composition are dynamic. However, for example, we can see this as asymmetrical composition, but it's still very good balanced. Look at this. We have, for example, 3 green buttons, but all of them are balanced. They are balanced with these elements. There are no these elements balanced with these elements. By the asymmetric elements, you can emphasize certain elements over others. For example, drawing the user's attention to calls to action or something like that. It's another example of the balanced composition. It's Andrew White, Christina Olsen. Let's continue with this topic. It is about static composition. It's another work of the Vasily Kandinsky, White on Black. I like the abstract composition because they allow to explain these concepts more obvious. Static compositions feel stable, calm, and unmoving. It might be symmetrical or asymmetrical, organized in a way that feel grounded. In contrast, a dynamic composition, whether in art or design, has a sense of movement and energy, which can be achieved through the placement of elements, lines, and constraining forms. In web design, a dynamic layout might use also for example, it will be good for some sites. For example, it will be much better for the site, for example, of some rock band. Can I demonstrate it? It is another example of the balanced composition, or how to say, static composition. It is a dynamic composition by Vasily Kandinsky, and it is dynamic web application. It is Metallica website. How we can achieve the sense of dynamic? Usually for dynamic, we use we use more edges form, we use diagonal lines and something like that. Also, this good example of the using the scale. We have the photos that full all the screen, and it creates more involvement for the person who sees this screen. For example, we also see here the edges, the diagonal lines. Let's continue. I want to say about, I did it like, I want to, we already talked that we should, that the composition should help draw attention to specific elements. How we can do it? The more simple way is create visual differences between the elements. So name, we can use contrast. So what types of contrast can we have? What do you think about this? What is the contrast and which contrast can we have?
We have like more darkened side and more like highlighted side.
Yes.
The dark one is on the right, and the highlighted one is on the left.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Also, we can use the color for the contrast. Also, we can use shape for contrast. We can use different shapes. For example, more circles shapes and more shape with edges. It can be also contrast. For example, in web design, the good contrast can be created by adding animation. Yes. For example, it is a self-portrait of Albert Dürer. It's a medieval artist. And look at this. As Andrew said, the most light spot on the picture is the face of the self-portrait. Yes, we have another light space in the hands, but the face is still lighter. Also, another thing that we can use to make the something more contrast, we can add details. The most details we have, we don't use the details on the background too much because it's not good. If we will see, we will have too more attention on the place we don't need. Because of this, the most light space here is the head, because it's much important. Let's continue. It is another example. It is a portrait of Sargent. The author of this portrait is Sargent. We also see that the face is more detailed place of the picture. We have the hint on the details on the background, for example, but we don't have the details on the background here or some details on the clothes. We don't need it because the most important thing are here. The most important thing here is here. Let's continue. This another example of Sargent. The sketches is demonstrate this concept perfectly because when you draw the sketches, you don't have a lot of time. You should you should choose what is really important, and only be focused on this thing. I think it work similar with the web design. We also also use the contrast, for example, color concert to the call on the place where we have call to actions. For example, here, we don't have too bright places where we don't need it. How the animation works to it was the same as another contrast. The animations works in web design.
I would say here is a combination of color contrast plus animation.
Yes. It's also, I want to say talked about the colors a little bit later, but thank you for the noticing that. Yes. Let's continue. let's talk about the color contrast in web design. So, yes, contrast is not only about size and weight, but also about color. In many web designs, you will notice that a lot of the background spaces is kept neutral, either white, gray, or black, while key elements such as buttons or calls to action are highlighted in the contrasting color. For example, it is the site of H&M, and the most important thing, the logo is in red colors. All the site don't on the photo don't use the bright colors at all. Not brighter than the logo, because the logo is most important, I believe. The same thing, it is the site of the design studios Design & Co, and see how the most important things is emphasized by the color. For example, the main words, the call to action. It is how it works in academic art. For example, it's the paint by Serov, Girl with the Peaches. Look at this. We will talk later about the colors more deep, but look at this. We have the red, pink, blues on the girls that also worked as the contrast. Also, we see this the most dark place is the head of the girl. It also works like a contrast, dark on the light. Yes. Also, another thing you can notice that it's how this composition works. We also have the framing concept. Framing, it's when we frame the composition with elements like frame. For example, these lines create some feels of coziness, of the movement inside the picture, not outside. It can keep us inside the picture. Oh, sorry. Yes. I want to talk about the color more deep. Let's touch on color theory, specifically the color wheel developed by Johannes Itten. I believe the Svetlana wanted to mention it, right? No.
I did say nothing.
Sorry. Yes. Let's touch color theory a little bit. It is the color wheel developed by Johannes Itten. Johannes Itten was a famous Swiss artist and educator, and his color wheel is widely referenced for understanding the relationships between colors. Let me explain the concept behind the color wheel. I will switch to another page for the moment because I wanted to ask the question again. Can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell me what the primary colors are?
Red,
There are three colors.
blue.
We have three colors. Yes. Sorry.
White.
White, pink, and black, let's say. Actually, I didn't want to answer because I didn't want to look stupid and like colorblind and so on.
Let's don't count the black and white. The three colors without black and white. Three primary
Red,
colors.
yellow, and blues.
Yes, that's right. Red, yellow, and blue. Okay, red, yellow, and blue. Now, what happens when we mix red and blue?
Violet.
Yes, purplish color, violet, purple. That's right. Now, and what about yellow and blue?
Green.
Greens.
Yes, green. And finally, mixing yellow and red.
Orange.
Orange.
Orange. That's right. Okay. what we see now. We have three primary color. We have three secondary color. Yes, it's the green, orange, and purple. And we have the color wheel with how to say, another color between these main color. Yes. How it works? To be honest, about the color, we can talk a lot of time, and I believe it can be another topic for the next meetup. But but this one effective approach is to look at complementary colors, which are positioning opposite each other on the wheel. These pairings create strong visual harmony. Classic examples include green and red, purple and yellow, and orange and blue. This combination not only creates balance, but also excellent for drawing attention to specific elements in a composition. Using complementary colors can be a powerful way to highlight objects, create contrast, or establish a visual hierarchy, whether you're working on a painting or designing a website. Let's look at we can see the another examples. For example, it's the work by Alphonse Mucha. Look at this. He use here the reddish color and green color that creates a good harmony on the painting. Like we have the opposite green and red. Oh, by the way, do you know why the Freddy Krueger have the sweater with the red and green lines? Because it's the most strong contrast of the colors. And it is widely used in the movie too. It is how it works in fan art. It's work by Sargent in the look at these shades. They're cold and warm, but it's also he's using also colors on the that opposite on the color wheel. It is the web application example. Look, it is the site of the Stamba restaurant. Look how we can see the call to action. We have reddish color that perfectly have perfect contrast with green photos. And we have the reddish orange elements on the photo too, to balance with the color button, to have a balance with the color button. It is the site of the Ladurée or Ladurée. I can be wrong in pronunciation. It is the site of the famous bakery in France. The best macarons. You can find there the best macarons if we can believe the advertisement. Here it's all. Here there is also used the color contrast. It is the site of Notion. We also have the blue and orange harmony. Also, look at this, how we can use the size of the object. We can use the contrast. It is this contrast of the size, yes, the main statement. How the color contrasts are used. Sorry, it's too early.
It also has diagonal dynamics too, so it's kind of all in one. Everything you talked before.
Yes. Let's continue with another rule. Compositional pattern. One of the simplest yet most effective compositional patterns is the rule of thirds. This method is often considered as the simplified version of the golden ratio. To use the rule of thirds, divide the canvas into 3 equal parts vertically and horizontally, creating a grid of 9 sections. The intersections of these lines are the attention centers where the viewer's eye naturally gravitates first. In both art and web design, placing key elements at these intersections points helps guide the viewer focus. For example, we can see these pictures, and we can see that the main element of the piece, it is the piece of Andrew White, Christina Swartz, placed on the intersection of this line. Also, the main feature, the main element is emphasized by color. Yes, it is a pink dress. Around we have green color. Also, it is the contrast between dark and light, the most strong contrast on the painting. This is a good example of how it works. And what we can see in web design, something similar. Also, it is the Studio Ghibli site, it is the Jira site. The main statement is also placed on the intersection of those lines. Let's talk about a little bit about format at scale. For the format and scale of composition significantly influence its overall atmosphere. Different formats create different moods and dictate how the viewer engages with the work. For example, a wider format might feel expansive and open, and it's often used in landscape. As vertical format can create a sense of high or tension. In web design, I believe it's also useful to understand the scale and format of your layout. For instance, in mobile screens demand a different approach to layout than desktop screens, not just because of size, but because of the user's experience and engagements with the content change. And we should think about it when we create the design for the mobile devices, for example, or the web applications that was used on the web and on mobile device. It's how it works in the academic art. It's also worked by Alphonse Mucha. It is the poster, if I don't mistaken. By the way, look at this. We have some data on the background. It is the star, but they are not true contrast because they shouldn't distract us from the face of the woman. Also, we have the yellowish face with a yellowish figure with the contrast of the purplish background. By the way, we have the green colors, but it's not too distract. It doesn't distract us too much because we also have these colors in this mixed color. The mixed somehow like dirty colors, such dirty colors also serve as colors that create integrity of the picture. To combine the different places, because when we have too much clean colors, it can broke our composition because we have too much details, too much place where we should look at. It is the example of Codecademy site. For example, one page will be different on the different devices. Also, it's about the scale. We already talked about when we see the Metallica site example. For example, it is the painting of Levintan. It's named, sorry, above the internal piece. How the scale works? We can create different emotional state by the choosing what we show more. For example, this big amount of space, open space, the sky, the water creates this feeling of tranquility. And it works the same when we saw the example with the Metallica site, when we have the photos photo on the background, a whole full of the screen. It created this involvement for the user. Another technique for creating dynamic and engaging composition is the use of circular movement. This refers to composition where the viewer eye is drawn in a circular path, constantly moving through the piece without leaving the frame. This creates a sense of flow and balance, keeping the viewer engaged. For example, in this painting, we can see that all the elements movement inside the picture. It is a work by Albert Dürer, Melancholia. These elements are placed not accidentally. This dog is lying this way, not because not accident. It's not accident. Look at this. We have this element that goes outside of the picture, but then we are coming back with this element, and it works on this everywhere. On this picture, we are inside the picture. It is a work by Vasily Kandinsky. It works the same as the composition. Another compositions, it's more obvious way how it works. Look at this. There is also used the color contrasts and another contrast. It have the integrity. And how it works with web design. Despite that we have the part of the element here, the movement goes inside the screen, and we are still inside this this piece. Yes. The similar example with the Dribbble site. Also, I wanted to say about the faces. I want to say about faces and people and compositions. Humans are naturally drawn to faces and figures. This is likely because, as a social creatures, we are interested in others. In visual composition, whether in art or design, the tendency plays a significant role. If you present two images, one with a human figure and other abstract, the image featuring the person will be almost always draw more attention. Because of this, if your goal is to emphasize a non-human subject, such as a product, be cautious when introducing human features. Too many people in the composition can distract the viewer from the main message or object. And I wanted to place a little bit more detail about the movement. We already say that there is something that look at this picture. Another interesting aspect of how the visuals relate to directional movement. For cultures that read from left to right, like in most European countries, we naturally read images and movement in the same way in composition. We tend to follow this left to right flow when interpreting visual content. For example, if we see this image, we read that the ball is movement from the left to the right down. But when we see the next picture, we also read the movement from the left to right. It not always work like this. If we add some, I don't know, another details, and we can change the movement from another side. But this is how our brain works. Because of this, we can see, these principles can be applied in both in art and in design. For example, placing an object or character moving from left to right creates a sense of natural progressions and forward momentum. On websites, this can guide users as they scroll through content. Conversely, placing movement from right to left can feel counterintuitive, sometimes evoking a sense of going backward or resisting progress. I think it's useful to understand how this flow can work, and it's to finalize my presentation, I want to give some key advice for artists, designers, or anyone else. What I think that is good thing to do. I think it's good to avoid accidents in your work. Every element in your composition should be intentional instead of letting things happen by chance. Always think through a decision. Ask yourself, why am I placing this element here? Why am I using this color? This level of thought ensures that every part of your design or artworks has purpose and contributes to overall composition. Also, I think that it's good think to create multiple options. Don't settle on your first idea. It's always beneficial to explore multiple possibilities. Simple, quick sketches taking just 5-7 minutes can help you visualize different approaches without overcommitting to one direction. These raw drafts serve as blueprints, allowing you to refine and choose the most effective composition before diving into the final piece. Also, the good thing to do is to look at as many good examples as you can. This practice is often referred to as developing your visual library. By regularly exploring yourself to high-quality designs, artworks, or layouts, you begin to internationalize what works well, whether it's balance, composition, color use, or typography. Over time, this builds your intuition and sharpens your sense of what looks good and why, helping you make better creative decisions in your own work. And don't forget, you can break any rule as long as you understand why you are doing it. In both in design and art, rules serve as a guidelines to create balance, harmony, and clarity. However, the key is understanding the principles first, so you can break them with confidence and purpose. That's all. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me, and we can discuss it.
I have a question.
Yes.
I think you have a remarkable fine art background, and I'm just curious, why did you decide to choose development over the design?
I already had these questions. I'm interested in a lot of things in the web development is the act of creation for me too. And to be honest, I always catch myself on the thought that I'm doing sometimes the similar things. For example, I taught my students often that it's the famous statement. I don't remember what the artist is, but the first thing when you are beginner, you are drawing the simple way and the bad way. When you study a little bit, you started to draw bad in the complicated way, but when you studied much more, you started to do it in complicated way and in good way. And the final stage you did simple way and in good way. I think it works the same in web development as much as I studied it, and I think that every area have every area of activity have their own intersections, and I'm not bounded by one field. I'm interested in a lot of things, and I don't know what to say about it. I was interested to study new things, and I started to study. I like to do the things. Yes, it was the main point. I created my site, Rapid Rendition, and I enjoyed it. I like to create things. Yes, I think it's main point why I like it.
The feeling that you did something with your hands, right? And
like
you control things.
Yes. If you were interested, I can. To be honest, I can say a little bit more about the another principles. For example, we can dive in with colors theory or with, for example, I can talk more about how the rhythm works, because rhythm is also a very important thing in composition. because every composition, it's harmony. It's like a music. You can listen the sound of it. Listen to the sound of it.
It would
Yeah,
be,
it sounds.
yeah,
Yes.
it would be amazing if you continue the topic.
Yeah, it seems like we already have a topic for the next meetup, right?
Yeah, really, I had the pleasure to see the presentation, to look at some fine art and comparison with the websites, and yeah, it is super fun for me.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, do you have any more questions to Sophia today? Nope.
I have one question. It might be a stupid question, but what do you think is accessibility standards in web application need sacrifice for fine art? Like when we tune the visuals, like the contrast of colors for components, does it affect the art or it as opposite upgrades it?
To be honest, I think that the good composition, it will be readable and accessible enough, because I always keep in my mind the thought that when I write something or drawing something, I think about user that user says me, don't let me think. I don't want to think the user. I say him where he should look at. I don't allow him to see another option to watch, because it is about good composition. You pass the sense of what you want to say, and the good composition has the strong contrast that will be visible and accessible. And yes, it's not the dogma. Yes, there are a lot of compositions that less strong contrast, but I think it shouldn't be. It's not about sacrificing. Yes, it shouldn't involving too much to accessibility. I believe it's these these things should go together, and the good design should be accessible and simple.
Makes sense.
And simple, yes, because I don't know if we don't have too much contrast, if we have a lot of details on the background that can be not too readable from the first gaze, it's not a good example of the composition. I believe in it.
Thanks for the answer.
Maybe you can disagree with me.
No, I think it makes sense to me.
Okay.
All right, guys. It's going to be the very last minute of today's meetup. So I want to call it a meetup. Actually, I want to say thank you for Sophia, especially for the very nice presentation, and I really enjoyed this comparison of the web pages to the real art. I want to thank everyone for coming today. And actually, I'm going to introduce the new practice I will be announcing the next meetups at the ending of the current meetups here. So in 2 weeks, we will need to step away from the arts, and we will do a deep dive into AI. Anastasia Kornienko will prepare to us a meetup about AI. So thank you for joining today. We're waiting you on the next meetup in the next week, and have a nice week ahead.
Sophia, just one comment. I would really love to hear your thoughts as a person who has art background as a developer, how does it help you to communicate with designers and with the clients and to combine this all knowledge, you know a lot, and how it helps like in work, like when you are implementing some features, if you have troubles of like you look at designs and you have comments like, oh, I wouldn't do this way, how do you communicate this, and if you do that, or you just like staying low and and do not involve in other jobs. So yeah, this would be really interesting to know about.
I shouldn't. To be honest, it is a fun thing, but I almost not. I wasn't all working on the front end all the time. I worked almost on the back end, and I believe we have great designers, and they did a great job work, and they know much more than me, because I believe that each area have I don't know, have each their own specification. Yes, and I believe I missed a lot of things, but when I do something, I try to think about how it will be good, and too. And when I review, when I'm doing a review of some PRs, I also try to think how it looks and why it looks like this, and I'm studying to analyze it. And because of this, I can notice this intersection between art and design right now. So right now, I believe it helps me to investigate new areas, how it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, got it. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, everyone. Thank you once again for coming, and have a nice week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.